Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sister Ellie here. Hey, everybody. Yes, I've missed you too. I'm back on my feet, or back on my bum as it is. Anyway, I have a guest. Yes. Hey, his name's OJ. Say hi, OJ.
Hi, OJ.
Not literally, but he did anyway. Anyway, OJ is like a dietitian. Would you call yourself a nutritionalist? So I'll like that you do that.
Yeah, hey, all of those apply, but no, my official title is a nutritional therapist.
Right.
Yeah, we're different to dietitians.
You're different to dietitians. How would you be different to a dietitian? Isn't it all about food, or is it about other issues that you?
Yes, it is all about food fundamentally. I suppose the dietitians and nutritional therapists are from the same family, should we say?
Right.
But dietitians are aligned with the NHS, whereas nutritional therapists are private practitioners.
Right.
Is the fundamental difference.
Okay.
And I suppose beyond that also, nutritional therapists tend to look a bit more widely at health, I would say, insofar as that we consider a person's nutritional health, obviously,
Right.
their physical health, their psychological health. I would even throw in there their spiritual health too, because all of those components combine to make that person who they are.
Yes.
And if you don't explore all of those areas, at times it can be difficult to work out what the solution to a problem may be if you don't consider the whole person.
Right.
So yeah, nutritional therapists tend to be, I would say, a bit more rounded in their approach. As I say, dietitians are fantastic in the work that they do, but they are slightly different in the way that they are.
So you'd say that you was a bit more holistic, just you'd look at like a situation on a more holistic approach, so to speak, like the whole person, maybe.
I would say so. Yeah, there are things that we would consider that maybe a dietitian may not consider. But as I said, we are like
we're all the same kind of family.
Yeah, we're all from dietitians and nutritional therapists are from the same family. We're all working to, improve the health of people one way or the other.
Okay. And so that that I have sickle cell, and I was wondering about the cellular level of things. We can't go into it too much today. I know it's just I really came around to see him say hi, and I thought okay. And so with the sickle cells like shrinking into that sickle shape, most of the time they say, oh, you're not drinking enough water. It's all about you being dehydrated. So some of us are sitting there drinking gallons of water, not really. I mean, it's not that we're not getting any better with it, but the production of the red blood cells is so quick, it just makes us tired all the time, basically. So, and when I was having a little chat with you, you were saying that the cell actually needs a little bit more than water. You'd have to, if I came to you and said, right, I want you to look at my condition, I want you to see what my blood is looking like. What do you think that you might tell me about my blood cell and how blood cells are made up, really?
I think there's, going to the first point that you mentioned about drinking lots of water,
yes.
Obviously to stave off dehydration. I think most people tend to be dehydrated anyway, so there is a case for drinking more fluids, for sure. However, drinking excessive amounts of water can be problematic, simply because it has an impact on your iron levels. When I say iron, as in IONS, the balance of your ions. Things like your potassium, sodium, this potassium-sodium balance specifically.
Right.
So when
magnesium in with that? Is that the same? Is that an ion or is that a different?
Yeah, you have magnesium ions.
Right.
There's various ions, but in terms of that balance of fluids,
right.
We are really talking about the kidneys specifically, and that balance between sodium and potassium.
Right.
Other ions also obviously play a part. Calcium ions play a part, but without getting too technical, I mean, on a very simplistic level, if you're drinking too much water, you can actually dilute you're causing a dilution of the ions that are
there already.
Right.
So if I was drinking an excess amount of water, let's say, so am I now diluting my calcium and my potassium? Am I like diluting it? That's not going to help. the situation?
Yeah, the answer, I mean, look, for people with sickle cell, there is an issue of dehydration,
Yes.
most definitely.
Yes.
But it's on a cellular level as opposed to just quenching a basic thirst.
Ah.
And what happens with sicklers, there tends to be, on a biochemical level, there tends to be a net loss of calcium cells, and it causes the actual cell to become dehydrated. And it's that dehydration that makes the hemoglobin cell prone to defect.
Right.
So in terms of treatment, it's important to speak to reversing that dehydration, which can't be done by simply drinking water.
Right.
It can't be done. As I said, there's a case for remaining hydrated on a very basic level. But if we're talking about managing a condition like sickle cell, it's about understanding that there's a dehydration that takes place on a cellular level, and it's about speaking to that. There are a number of things, like for example, we know that fetal hemoglobin, helps to limit that dehydration process. There are supplements that you can introduce specific nutrients into the system to help balance that dehydration process. So often what you find with most sicklers, they tend to have a crisis.
Yes.
They go to hospital and they receive pain management.
Yeah, that's right.
They're given morphine, very powerful, strong,
it is a
drug.
very powerful drug.
And it speaks to the symptom as opposed to the real issue that needs to be addressed. So it manages the pain, but
it's only for that time, and then you have to keep going back again.
Right. So there's things that need to be addressed. And there's a lifestyle issue for sicklers that needs to be addressed. Do they smoke, for example? Because we know that the number one killer for sicklers is the acute chest syndrome.
Yeah, that's right.
And so anything that creates extra injury to the lungs or to the pulmonary system, and certainly smoking does.
Yes.
It's something which is not compatible with a sickler. And again, also, it's about being nutritionally robust. We know, for example, that the red blood cell life for sicklers are significantly shorter than for somebody without the sickle variant.
Yeah.
As a result, the diet must speak to supporting production of red blood cells because there's a higher turnover.
Yeah.
Again, the diet must speak to supporting the immune system because of all the issues around, high turnover of blood cells and so forth that come about from having that condition.
Yeah.
So the therapy really should be speaking to supporting red blood cell production, counteracting cellular dehydration,
right,
and to a degree pain management. But if you can manage those other areas, then there tend to be less crises, and so the kind of pain management is almost a byproduct of getting the therapy right in terms of dealing with the dehydration and also being nutritionally robust.
Oh, I see. So the way you look at sickle anyway is just like from different angles and scientific as well, isn't it? It's scientific in like the way our bodies work, isn't it? And what our bodies need to keep a good structure, let's say.
Absolutely. I mean, because look, the bottom line is that we know what the problem is. We know that there's the sickle variant. So the question is, it's not so much finding the root cause, because very often when people have an illness or a situation, it's usually the root cause hasn't been identified. And that's the thing that causes for most people a long-standing issue, because they're dealing with the symptoms, but the root cause hasn't been addressed. So once you find the root cause and you tackle it, the symptoms fall away. With sickle cell, we know what the root cause is. There's they have a variant hemoglobin strain, the HBS hemoglobin type.
Yeah.
So that's not the issue, the root cause. We know what the root cause is. But the key is then, how do you manage the implications of having that variant? And from what I see, there isn't much that speaks to managing what happens, which is cellular dehydration and that high turnover of red blood cells. You must speak to that. We know, for example, that there's some kind of cutting edge advances that have been made with regards to stem cell and so forth.
Yeah, that's right.
But the point is that until that is widespread, and it's been quite successful, I've followed it closely.
Oh, well done. Okay, yeah.
The point is that it's not widely available. It's not available to everybody.
No, that's
up until
right.
recently, those procedures are only available to young people because
that's right. Under 16, they was doing it for, and also it was mainly only in the USA.
Right.
So it's literally just come over to England now, and it's still the young people that they're talking to. I think when I was speaking to people, they were saying that they were looking at people who were under 10 years old. So
but that's changed now, because now they've advanced to the point whereby this is more in the trialing period,
yes,
whereby
right.
they now understand how to work with adults ultimately.
Right.
But the bottom line is this hasn't been rolled out. So the key thing is that until that is rolled out, so that it's available and accessible to everybody that has sickle cell.
Yeah.
It's about doing the work that can allow some kind of relief and some improvement in quality of life until we reach that stage. Because look, we've got sicklers that are young and sicklers that are old. Some that may not be around long enough to see those advancements become mainstream.
Yeah.
So does that mean that there's nothing for them? No, that's not true. There is stuff for them.
Yes.
There are drugs that are available that improve the fetal hemoglobin levels. Yeah. There are supplements that are available that improve the fetal hemoglobin levels. And as I said, there are simple measures that can be adopted to support red blood cell production. And there's also lifestyle changes that should be encouraged and can be adopted that can actually speak to a better quality of life. What I'm not seeing, my brother passed away. My brother had sickle and passed away in 2008. So I took a keen interest in sicklers and their experience. And from what I see, there isn't a great deal that speaks to the type of therapy that can actually improve the quality of life. I'm not saying, with nutritional therapy that we can cure the condition, because clearly that's not possible. But there is much that can be done that
to improve the life quality of a person, right?
Absolutely. And the truth is that that type of therapy just isn't available in the NHS. You have to come to a private practitioner that has a special interest in the area.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
Otherwise, you speak to every sickler, and they'll tell you the simple process. They have a crisis, they go to the hospital, they're pumped with drugs, and then they're let out again to go and crack on with their life with no real knowledge. How is it that they should manage themselves nutritionally? How should they manage themselves physically? What is the psychological support that's required? What is the rounded approach to allowing them to possibly improve the quality of their life? And there's much that can be done. But it's a question of people accessing that information and having the faith to take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's having the faith to leap in. So I was wondering if you could just quickly give a website, a contact detail, how people could get hold of you if they want to speak to you about their diet. Not just about sickle cell, but just about everything in general, really, isn't it?
For sure, absolutely. I deal with chronic illness, so whatever chronic illness, whether or not you have high blood pressure, issues with your heart disease, high cholesterol levels, if you question of weight loss, type 2 diabetes, any chronic condition, I can give significant help towards actually finding the root cause and helping you overcome that issue.
Excellent.
You can contact me. My if it's by email, it's OJ at Cristazone. That's CRISTAZONE.com. You can call me on 07826 776 032. I'm based, I have clinics in Harley Street, London Bridge and Brixton. But the key thing is, look, you can, if you have an issue that you want to talk about, for anybody that makes contact with me, there's always an hour's free consultation so that you can get to the bottom of what's going on and work out whether or not my approach is something for you. So it's free to talk for an hour. So you've got nothing to lose if you have a condition. Because what tends to happen is that people tend to come to me as a last resort. They've been at the
So you get all the NDs then, all the NDs, they've been like round the world and all of that.
Absolutely.
Every NHS doctor, and then
absolutely,
and then you're in.
And then they come, and then when they leave, they say, "Oh my gosh, I wish I'd found you 20 years ago because you provided a solution." I can't find a solution to everything, and I'm fairly upfront. If you've got a situation which I can manage and handle, and there's not many that I come across that I can't.
Right.
I'll be fairly upfront and honest as to whether or not we can actually do something to improve your condition or resolve it completely.
Oh,
and I work hand in hand with your GP so that there's nothing. This. We're not talking about some kind of funky quack practice.
Like some backstreet kind of over here again. No.
Often, what happens once people come through a series of therapy is that they realise that there is a fairly logical way to approach it, which has never been addressed. And often, the protocol to resolve it is usually quite simple. But obviously, it's not simple if you don't know what it is. But it's only simple once you're aware of it. So people are actually usually quite shocked that, okay, is this all we've had to do to resolve it? It might take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But usually the protocols aren't particularly involved. It's just about, as I said before, the key thing is, if you don't understand what the root cause of your illness is, it doesn't matter what you try. If it doesn't speak to that root cause, it's not going to resolve it.
Yeah,
that's why people take medication. They try this, they try that.
Because it's kind of like a quick fix, isn't it? It gets rid of like the on-top symptoms. It gets rid of the on-top, like the symptom being presented, let's say. But like even like when I do some of my psychoanalytic work, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the innards. We have to see where the spark might have happened, and so it's like about regression therapy and such things like that, or just to see how this is affecting the person in the now, even though it's something that happened like 15 years ago or such. 25 years ago. So, and I suppose it'd be like that with food patterns, isn't it? When you've just been eating certain food patterns, or like your mum and dad have always like put certain foods in front of you, you've just grown with that. Now you're an adult, you teach your children that, unless you actually say, hold on a minute, I don't think I want to eat this anymore. I want to like stop and look and see what this actually is doing to my body. It might like make me full for like an hour, 3 hours, or whatever it is. I might look fat and like because people sometimes associate being fat with being wealthy or something, and sometimes that's just not quite how it goes.
No, I mean, look, the truth is, it's a very kind of antiquated way of looking at things.
But people still do it till today. I've seen them.
Yeah, it's true. But I think there's a growing awareness that, and this isn't to cause offence to anyone that's overweight, but look, there's people that of all shapes and sizes. The key thing is to really look at your waist measurement, and if you're, the very basic way to work out whether or not you're overweight, is to measure your waist to height ratio. Your waist should be 50% or less, so half the height, your waist measurement should be half your height. So, for example, if you're 6 foot tall, your waist should be 3 foot or less.
And then you see lots of people with like a 5 foot waist, and they're literally about
5 foot tall. So clearly there's too much fat around that middle area, and that's the most dangerous area to carry fat. So you can have chubby cheeks, you can have chubby feet, you can have chubby ankles, and it's not an issue. But if you've got fat around the middle, then that's actually suffocating your internal organs. Often when we work with clients with type 2 diabetes, it's about unclogging the fat that's encased the liver and the pancreas. And once you do so, as well as changing the regime with regard to the diet and their physical activity levels, you get miraculous turnarounds. Because it used to be, there's now a growing awareness that type 2 diabetes isn't a disease that is a disease for life. It is only a disease for life if you don't make the appropriate changes and the interventions aren't applied that speak to resolving the root causes. So we're back to the root cause again, aren't we? Back to the root cause. That's right. Because if your pancreas has been, one, intoxicated by excessive exposure to glucose or sugar, and number two, it's encased in fat, those two things can cause the pancreas effectively to become dysfunctional and to work very minimally, if at all.
Wow.
And hence you have the diabetes. But once you reduce the glucose exposure and are able to, rid the pancreas of that excessive fat, and the liver too, because they're both key with regards to managing blood sugar levels, then you see people that are able to go back to the perfectly normal blood sugar levels.
Okay.
But again, it's about the root causes, understanding why is it that the medication is never going to resolve anything. Because look, as I say to my diabetic clients, that this is the story. It goes like this. First of all, they're diagnosed as pre-diabetic, okay? And then they become diabetic, and they're given the advice that, look, try and control it by changing your diet.
Yeah.
And they kind of loosely try a bit of something or the other. It tends not to work, and then they're given some medication, be it metformin is one of the standards. Right. There's a number of others, but metformin is one of the most popular. They take the metformin, for example, and it will work to a degree. But then as we go on, they reach the point whereby then they're injecting insulin, because the metformin isn't really robust enough anymore to actually manage
deal with the thing.
And then you can get to the point whereby you're taking insulin and metformin, or a combination of pharmaceuticals, and so. And then the next stage is where you start to lose your eyesight, you start to develop erectile dysfunction, or you potentially lose your limbs. You have amputations. So there's a steady progression. So for me, I mean, look, there's some people that just don't have the discipline or the support to actually take on a robust regime that can reverse their condition and bring them back to full health. Yeah. So they've got no choice but to take the medication to try and slow the process down, the progression of the disease.
And so what would you be? Would you be like somebody who not necessarily holds their hand, but you would just put them in a direction, right? You'd give them like an idea of what they could do to transform this?
Not an idea, no. I would give them a very clear protocol to follow. Right. Very clear, regimented protocol. So you're very clear each day what you need to do when you wake up. What you need to eat, the amount of physical activity. I mean, so for example, research has shown that if you go for just a 30-minute walk after your meal, it is powerful. It's a powerful means of actually reducing your blood sugar levels. Powerful natural means. Just a 30-minute walk, not even particularly fast, just a reasonably paced walk after your meal. Powerful with regards to managing your blood sugar levels. Wow. So there's lots of. So my regime is about the protocol that I give. Is quite descriptive insofar that every area that they need to address is spelled out for them, because by the time they come to me, they're in despair, they're lost, they don't know what to do.
And they need something.
Yeah, so they want direction. So it's not about just giving them an idea, it's about being very clear about what we do. And as I said, we liaise with their GP too, so that they're very clear on the protocol that we're dispensing. With them. So they can have the confidence that, hey, well, look, there's nothing to hide here.
Yes.
And as I said, we have the past successes to speak to, which prove that this type of approach works. But the key thing is, for most people, as to whether they succeed or not, is whether or not they have that discipline and desire. Because it's not just about discipline. What I find is that some people come to me and I can smell the desire, I can smell the motivation. It drips off of them like sweat.
Amazing, yeah. Literally comes through your pores and that, right? Yeah.
But there's others that come, they know they would like to be better, but deep down don't have the discipline, the motivation, the ability to find the resources within themselves to apply themselves to a program. That means that, okay, there's some things which they're not going to be able to interact with anymore. Like I said, for a sickler that enjoys smoking, there's absolutely no way I'm working with a sickler in terms of actually improving their quality of life. And smoking is going to be a part of that regime.
You have to just cut all that out. So you'll tell them that. I'm not saying to do it cold turkey. I mean, there's plenty of humane means of giving up smoking. But the bottom line is, we have to recognise that is one of those things that for a sickler is one of the worst things that they could do, given the impact that sickle cell has on their pulmonary system. Right. But that's the issue for most people. It's not so much that the protocols don't work. It's a question of, are they motivated enough? And to change habits and such forth, isn't it?
And Yeah, yeah, and I don't see. For some, it takes a near-death experience to create the motivation.
Literally.
Others, it might be a relationship breakup. It's difficult to say, but a lot of people struggle with sticking to protocols.
Right, I think so. People are quite undisciplined, maybe in their lifestyle choices. Maybe let's say that people might be kind of
I suppose
undisciplined
there's
in
an
that.
element of that,
And maybe because just everything's all around you. Like I was saying, that there's so many fast foods, but is there a fast food? Is there a fast food veggie place or a fast food dinner where you could get like lots of nutrition that will actually help the body? There's like virtually nothing like that, is there? People have to either dig it out themselves. If it was presented, I'd have like a some sort of fast food, easy access kind of green place, like a fast food greenhouse or something that people can just whiz in and whiz out. These kind of things would help if we like expanded even our own vision on how we could live. I mean, if the society, I'm not talking about you, but if the society expanded their own vision on these kind of inputs and outputs of foods that we eat, then that could also, because sometimes when you're trying to do a regime and then the society around you doesn't feel very supportive of what it is that you're trying to do, it can be quite difficult, I find, personally.
Yeah, I can understand that, and I think that's why, as I say, that when I work with clients, I work with them. I work with psychologists. I have a team around me. My psychologists, my personal trainers, my masseurs. There's a range of people that pull together.
Yeah.
And so I work with an amazing psychologist, Baruti Damali.
Hey,
and, and the key thing is that, as you said, there are a lot of pressures and influences that can make it quite difficult. And if you've lived a certain way for a prolonged period of time, it's not easy just to change your habits and to change the way you approach things. Even if the answer is presented in front of you, actually doing it and sticking to it can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
But then, with my clients, if there is an issue which is clearly going to be difficult and they lack that motivation, then it's important that they do the work with my psychologists first, so that they can actually, prepare themselves in a way that allows them or enables them to be more robust and maybe a bit more resilient.
Yeah, to give them some strategies or tactics, isn't it?
There's no point in me giving them my report and saying, there you go, there's all the answers, off you go.
Yeah,
because they're going to struggle. They came because they need support. And, and as I say, they need support on multiple levels, nutritionally, physiologically, psychologically, and maybe, there's a range of ways that they need to be supported. And there's no point in me putting together a nutritional program if I don't speak to those other areas, because they're going to fail. And the aim is, for me, is
you want them to pass the whole thing.
Well, of course, I only believe in succeeding. So, I've got to create the scenario where success is more likely to happen.
Yeah.
And if I don't speak to their psychology, then, it's very difficult to make those nutritional changes and the physiological changes stick.
Right.
So you're right, society, there is a great deal of pressure based on... But look, once you start thinking the right way, then it's possible to see the world in a different way, because I navigate the world and there's plenty of places to eat, plenty of options, and then you wake up with a different kind of preparedness whereby you eat in a certain way, whereby when you step out you're less reliant on what's out there.
The outside.
But even when you are out there, there are choices. It's just a question of understanding how can I manipulate what's out there to suit my needs.
Yeah.
Because if you've been nurtured in a particular way and you believe that food should be eaten in a particular way, then you won't see it in any other way than the way you've been nurtured. But actually, when you stand back and when your mind's been opened, you realise actually, you know what, you can go out there and it's okay. You can do well with what's available.
Yeah.
It's not all doom and gloom at all. Yeah. It's more about changing the mindset and gaining the knowledge that empowers you to be able to go out there fairly confidently to actually.
And I think that all draws like your encouragement and stuff out of you, doesn't it? When you start seeing how you think and where you go, where your body takes you literally to certain places, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, okay, peeps. He's great, isn't he? Full of knowledge, this one. You want to see his mate, Baruti. Two of them, power dynamic. So I give thanks for that, and thank you very much for taking your time, OJ. And if you could once again give your email so they can contact you, anyone who wants to speak to you about their dietary habits and even like habits that they've got into that's not really helping.
Yes. The website is www.cristazone.com, cristazone.com, and you can contact me at oj@cristazone, cristazone.com. And if you want to give me a call, you can give me a call on 07826 776 032. And as I said, you're more than welcome to book a consultation, and that's free of charge, just to work out what your situation is and find out if there's anything we can do to help, or if there's somewhere else I can direct you to help. Because sometimes, look, no, I can't solve everything, but I'm surrounded by practitioners of, from very many different disciplines, so I may know where to signpost you to get the help you require. I mean, my speciality is type 2 diabetes, male health issues, erectile dysfunction, prostate issues. I can deal with most things as well, but that's what the area I specialize in. But then I have practitioners that specialize in balancing female hormones, some that focus very specifically on autism, high blood pressure. So look, even if you may not want to work with me, or maybe I don't feel that I can give you the service you require, I'm sure that I can direct you, because there's a strong community of nutritional therapists doing good work out there, turning people's chronic conditions around, and they're not well known. They're there, they're working, and as we know, this world is a really sick place, and so our work is cut out for us, and it's important that you guys out there that need help connect with us, because a life of pill popping is not the way forward, and a life of acceptance that your chronic illness is something that which you have to own is not the way forward. For most people, for most chronic conditions, there's a resolution. It's just a question of meeting the right people that can help you unlock, the answer that will allow you to improve the quality of your life. So yes, if I can't help you, I have an army of people out there that can actually provide you with the kind of help that you need.
Thank you very much, sir. And I wish you a good evening.
Thank you.
And I wish all of you a good evening, and I'll be back pretty soon.